After an incredible 2023 season by the Baltimore Orioles, winning 101 games and making a return back to the top of the AL East, I wanted to personally provide my opinions on the season and grading every player based on their achievements, accolades, and performance this year. Let me know in the comments who was your favorite of the guys, or if you think I didn't rate them properly. That being said, let's proceed. During his healthy time in the majors, Felix Bautista was far and away the most dominant reliever this year, earning his first All-Star bid in 2023 and an absolutely mind-boggling 16.2 strikeouts per 9, the best whiff percentage and strikeout percentage in all of baseball. A few unfortunately memorable home runs took away his remarkable Cy Young campaign, but even with a shortened 2023 season due to injury, he still has a strong case for winning the AL Reliever of the Year award. I wish him all the best for his recovery and hope to see him come spring training of 2025, the same way we saw him this year. Felix Bautista has a strong A in 2023. The innings eater of 2023 did exactly what we had signed him for. Kyle Gibson stayed healthy all year with 192 innings pitched while giving us 7 or more innings of work on 7 different occasions. He did, however, give up the most hits in the American League with 198 and only second to Jordan Lyles in earned runs allowed. 15 wins is certainly nothing to scoff at. He's getting a respectable C. Wrapping up the Kyles, Kyle Stowers is unfortunately going to be giving an F this year for his performance. Yes, he didn't have much of a starting role at any point this season, and yes, he didn't have the opportunity to hit against lefties. He just couldn't piece it together when they gave him the opportunity. Unfortunately, it is an F. I feel like the way they treated Nick Vespi being sent up and down every 2 weeks was really annoying. He was reliable in games we needed him to be, and naturally not as good in games we got blown out. His home runs per 9 innings and walks per 9 innings decreased by a good margin last year to this year, but other than that, I was hoping for a much longer stint in the majors. Pretty solid C-. One of the more polarizing players on the team this year, I think Ryan McKenna as a defensive substitute for majority of the season, he was fine. He was at a 700 OPS for most of the season, and for the most part was fine on defense except, you know.
And McKenna drops the ball!
C. It's pretty obvious what the most valuable Oriole in 2023 is going to get. Gunnar Henderson put on an incredible rookie season, being the best base runner in Major League Baseball according to Baseball Savant and having one of the best hard hit percentages in the league. His defense was just as spectacular, being rated as the 7th best defender in the American League with a 2.1 B WAR. The only accolades he could possibly get snubbed from here are a Gold Glove and Rookie of the Year honors. A+. Dean Kramer had a respectable year, managing to stay healthy and throwing over 170 innings, hitting a career high. Definitely taking a step back from his 3.23 ERA last year. A 4.12 ERA is respectable for a 4th starter on the rotation. I'd like to see him hold down on the end of our rotation next year. I'm giving him a C+. Jorge Mateo had an incredible April to start the year, however went absolutely ice cold, hitting no higher than a 500 OPS from May to July. He seemed to find a small spark towards the end of the year as a pinch runner, defensive replacement, and did look good in Game 2 against the Rangers. I'm not sure about his future in Baltimore next year, but his speed is always a plus. He's getting a D+ this year. Our only 2022 All-Star, Jorge Lopez, made a surprising return for a late push, helping us towards the division title. A warm welcome nonetheless. His performance did take a huge drop from the pitcher we saw last year, giving up 4 home runs in just 12 innings and a whip north of 1.2. I was really hoping we could return him to the form of last year, but we'll be getting a D+. When they signed Adam Frazier, we were hoping to get signs of his 2021 All-Star campaign with the Pirates. What we didn't expect is one of the most clutch players in baseball. I don't know how he did it, but he bested Rougned Odor in clutch factor. For every good month Frazier had, the next month was bad. But while having a career high of base hits, home runs, and RBIs in 2023, his near 290 batting average and 830 OPS on high leverage situations was consistent the entire year. With that, I'm going to give him a C+. I think after some consideration, I'm reevaluating Adam Frazier's year, because this is probably his career year. However, to the standards of the Orioles this year, I don't think it was towards the level of some of the other players. I do want to bump him up instead to a B-. Coming off a 2nd place in AL Rookie of the Year voting last year, Adley Rutschman's offense improved yet again, decreasing his strikeout percentage by almost 4% and ending with a near 1-to-1 walk-strikeout ratio. While having the 2nd highest OPS on the team, Adley's batting eye was too elite for his own good. Being the MLB leader in called strikes on pitches out of the strike zone, his defense did take a hit this year, but the All-Star Gold Glove finalist catcher gets an A for 2023. I am going to take my word back on Mark Kozvari being the only non-rated player this season. I'm also going to be giving it to Chris Marcus Valamont while we're here, just because he only had 1 appearance this year and no runs. I mean, what could you do about that? James McCann we're getting essentially for free. The Mets are paying his entire salary, so I have no complaints for what he did this year, but he delivered. A great veteran presence in the clubhouse and just absolute vibes. He was incredible in his role. He even won DH spot against lefties for a period of time this year, more than what we could have asked for. Certainly would like to see him back next year. He gets a B. Logan Gillespie's story is an awesome one, which is why I was excited for the season to see how he could improve. However, that wasn't the case. His ERA ballooned and everything just about doubled. It was overall just a really disappointing season for Logan. I don't have much to say, but a D-. Colton Cowser unfortunately didn't look too comfortable at the plate during his stint in the majors. His defense was fine, having an absolute cannon, even picking up an outfield assist in his 26 games. I think he has a roster spot going into next year, but he's graded at a D+ in 2023. Edward Bizardo almost blew us a game against Miami where we were supposed to win 5-1, but we won 5-4. He gets an F. Reed Garrett was a garbage time pitcher. He gets an F. Keegan Aiken just looked awful this year, unfortunately, so these 3 players are all getting Fs. There was the slight faith in me that Bruce Zimmerman could replicate his 2022 April-May Cy Young campaign last year. However, it wasn't meant to be. Aside from a slightly lower season ERA for Bruce, he wasn't around much for a significant contribution. I'm grading him a D+. Austin Voth looked incredible last year. However, the same could be said for this season. The only tolerable month he had this season was May, but even then, he had an opposing batting average of 268. I was hoping for a 2020-esque season, as he was one of my favorite stories last year, but I just wasn't moved. Unfortunately, I'm going to give him a D. I'm wishing the best for Terran Vavra and I'm hoping he gets healthy. I wasn't too impressed with him this year. His offense took a drop and wasn't all too well on the field either. His future is uncertain with the organization and I'm gonna have to give him a D. Similar to Terran Vavra, I wasn't too impressed with Joey Ortiz's incredibly short stint in the majors this year. A lower on-base percentage than average and a sub 450 OPS. There wasn't much that moved me on Joey this year. Unfortunately, he's getting a D as well. Josh Lester looked like an absolute stud in spring training and had us questioning why he wasn't on the opening day roster like many others. When he did have that opportunity, he only looked good against the Giants and the Royals. Other than that, he looked quite uncomfortable at the plate, sub 400 OPS and a 180 batting average. I'm giving him a D-. The Vulture was one of the tougher ones to grade. He did have 10 wins on the season. He had some great months like the beginning of the season and July, but also had really tragic months like May and August. He was oddly good in the 9th, but tragically bad in the 8th. He did have a significant improvements in hits per 9, also doubled his walks per 9 with a net decrease in whip. I think I'll have to give Mike Baumann a light C. I wanted to save probably the most controversial player for last, Shintaro Fujinami. It felt like when he started making improvements, he'd forget how to pitch the very next game. It's really hard to justify having a 4.6 walks per 9 even while approaching a 10 strikeouts per 9 and throwing 103 miles an hour. One of the very few players we traded for at the deadline yet wasn't able to piece it together and ultimately missed the postseason roster. Overall, it was just a very C- year. Lastly, the Baltimore Orioles. A+. I mean, what else can you say about that? 101 wins, first AL East title since 2014. There wasn't much else to say aside from the postseason, but the regular season was incredible. There you have it. Thank you for taking time out of your busy day to watch my video. If you did enjoy this kind of content and you'd like to watch more, go ahead and leave a like and or comment about anything we discussed today. Subscribe for more content, and as always, take care of yourself. See you in the next video.